Hi and welcome. In this video, we will see what is the difference between normalization and standardization. Both these techniques are used for scaling the features, which is a part of feature engineering process. Now, how do we perform normalization? It's a process in which we transform the values of a given feature into a range of values which goes from 0 to 1. Now, how do we do that? So, we are given a set of values which we have to normalize. These values belong to a given feature and we have to normalize these values. So what we do is we first compute the minimum and maximum of all these values. Now whichever value x we have to normalize, we first subtract the minimum value from x and we divide it by the difference between max and min value. So that's how we perform normalization. Let's take an example. So assume that the values belonging to a given feature range from 300 to 1200 and we have to normalize a value 600. So here as we see min is 300 and max is 1200. So what we do is we first subtract the min value 300 from 600 and we divide it by the difference between min and max, which is 1200 minus 300, and this is what we get. Since we use min and max values for this process, this is also called min-max normalization. Now let's see what is a standardization technique. So in standardization, it's not necessary that the values will be transformed from 0 to 1. So here what happens is that the values are transformed in such a way that the new values have a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Now how do we perform that? So firstly, again, we are given a set of values which belong to a given feature. So first we compute the mean of these values, which we call mu feature, and we also compute standard deviation of these values, which we call sigma of feature. Now, whichever value x has to be standardized, we subtract the mu feature from that value x and we divide it by the sigma value. So that's how we standardize a given value. Let's take an example. So let's again assume that the original range is from 300 to 1200. So what we are interested in over here is the mu value and the sigma value. Let's say we have to normalize the value 1100. So we subtract the mean and we divide it by the standard deviation value, and this is what we get. Now this value that we get is also called z-score, and that's why this technique is also called z-score normalization. Now these z-scores generally range from -3 to +3. So this was a brief about normalization and standardization and their differences. And both these techniques are used so that the values belonging to different features lie in the same scale. And when that happens, it is easier to compare different features, and also the machine learning model becomes faster as well as more efficient when the values belonging to different features lie in the same scale. In case of any clarification, suggestions, or criticism, please comment or you may also drop an email.